Welcome back, viewers. Today we will be testing the Waddah Attar explosion.
But before we do, if you have not watched my first video and the videos after that, you need to go do that right now. Here at the Academy of Forex, we are building the best trading system possible as a team, and as a team, we will all profit from it when we are done. You can find a link to the first video down in the description below. You can also find a link to our Discord server, so that way we can all discuss testing indicators and building our trading system. And lastly, you can find a link below to TradingView. If you sign up for a paid account, you will save a little bit of money using the link below.
Alright, as I said, today we will be testing the Waddah Attar explosion indicator. But before we do, I wanted to put the indicator scoreboard up for everyone to see. So to date, we have tested 122 indicators. And out of those 122 indicators, 49 of them have been winners, which means that they have met or exceeded the 60% win-loss ratio threshold that we have set for them. The best ones so far were able to achieve a 100% win rate. Now you need to go back and watch those videos to understand the context of how they were able to achieve that. But as we are working on building the best trading system possible, you could take any one of those 49 indicators and get out there and start potentially profitably trading the markets with them now. So go back and watch those videos, make a list of those indicators, and get out there and see what you can do with them. But stick with us here as we work on maximizing your trading profits. Alright, so today's indicator is the Waddah Attar explosion indicator. There is a little bit going on with this one, more than most indicators that we test. And so some of you, I'm sure, are familiar with it, and some of you may not be familiar with it. And that's okay. Let's see here. So let's start dissecting this thing a little bit here. So the first and main thing that you probably notice would be the histogram bars that are spiking up here. And you would notice that the histogram bars are red and orange, and green, I guess, and light green. So we got red bars basically and green bars. Those are designating whether or not we are in a short trend or a long trend, if you will. Then we have the blue dotted line here, and that is called the dead zone. So the dead zone line, more specifically. Anything below the dead zone line is considered to be a ranging dead market. Anything above the dead zone line would be considered a trending market. And so, lastly, we have the explosion line, and that is the line that you see here, wiggling its way through the histogram and the rest of the indicator here. And that is basically confirming that a trend is taking place, or momentum is taking place within the particular pair or the move that is happening. And so really this indicator is kind of a multi-purpose indicator. It's reading trend, confirmation, and which is actually more Trend confirmation comes more from the explosion line, I believe, if I remember right, and then the histogram bars are reading the momentum. And so, yeah, all together, it's kind of an all-in-one type package. And now, that's not to say that it would be used as a single indicator to fit all the different pieces of the system that we're looking for. It could very well just be used as a um, a really good tool to filter out, our signals with an overall system. So now, in the last couple of videos, I have been explaining that I set up a channel on our Discord server. So Discord is a absolutely free website or app that we utilize for real-time discussions and carrying on just in-depth discussions about trading and indicators and what have you regarding all things trading. And on the Discord server, I created a channel specifically for indicator creation. And so we have a few members on the Discord server there who like to tinker around with coding indicators, and that's where that channel kind of spawned from. It dawned on me that one of the biggest complaints I get is that a lot of people use the MT platforms and they don't use TradingView or don't necessarily have access to TradingView. And so within that channel, I also pinned a couple links to freelancers who you could hire to code out an indicator for you. If you're looking to just create an indicator yourself, if you have some idea of an indicator you want created, or if you want to combine some indicators and have them combined into an all-in-one indicator, or let's say that you specifically and only use the MT platforms, then you could have an indicator created from a TradingView indicator into an MT indicator if you can't find that specific indicator for MT. Now, a lot of these indicators you will be able to find, but the biggest issue that we run into is ones that are created by TradingView members. They don't always put the original name of the indicator, or sometimes it's kind of a one-off version, and so they name it something different. And so you may have trouble finding the indicator from TradingView to use on the MT platform. But nonetheless, if you are interested in having an indicator created, whether it be for TradingView, there is a link for PineScript, and then there is a link for coding for the MT platforms. And so you can, look up, one of those freelancers, find one that does it for super cheap, and they will be able to get you set up on creating an indicator specifically for you. So, all right, this one this indicator is a TradingView member created indicator. Like I said, it's a pretty well known indicator. I've heard of it, numerous times before. And so there is no doubt that you should be able to find it for the MT platform and so on. And it's probably not a specialized version at all. It's probably just the normal version of the indicator. And so there's probably nothing really special taking place with this specific one. But seeing as how it is a TradingView member created indicator, there will be a link to it down below in the description. So, how do we trade this thing, you may ask? Well, let's see. there is two different ways that I've seen traders trade this indicator. One of them I agree with more than the other. And so the first one, the first thing that we are looking for is for the explosion line to be above the dead zone line. So that's the first condition that needs to be met. Now, at that time, we need to assess which direction we should be going, and that's done by the histogram bars in back. Whether they are the red or the green tells us whether we should be going short or we should be going long. Now, the bars themselves also need to be above the explosion line. So, again, let me explain this one more time. We need the explosion line to be above the dead zone. We need the histogram bars to be above the explosion line. And we use the histogram bar colors, to determine whether we're going short or we are going long. Okay? Now, here's where the two different ways come in to play. There are some people who say that they only take the well, let me back up a little bit. So one other condition that has, in my opinion, been specifically indicated that needs to also be in place for it to be a valid signal to go either short or long is that the explosion line needs to be moving upward. And now that's relatively important because that kind of determines whether or not you're going to trade it one way versus the other way. Now, the other way that I have heard is that as long as the explosion line is above the dead zone line, anytime a histogram bar crosses up above the explosion line, that is a signal to enter a trade, whether it be a long one or a short one. So we have instances where, let me see if I can find, so here is an example of a long signal using this strategy. So you see that we had the initial breakout of the dead zone of the explosion line, and the histogram bars are on the short side. Then you see the histogram bars pull down, and right here you see a spike of a long momentum taking place with the histogram bars here. And they cross up above the explosion line, and some people will say that that is a signal to go long at that point. And then vice versa with the short side. So like I said, here's an example where the explosion line comes up out of the dead zone. We see the histogram bars drop down below the explosion line, and then we see a spike of the histogram bar coming up above the explosion line. Again, some people will say that that is a signal to go short. Now, the problem I have with that is often you will find that when that scenario takes place, when the histogram bars, so when the explosion line is already above the dead zone and the histogram bars drop down below the explosion zone and then spike back up above it, more often than not, the explosion line is pointing downward. And now again, if you go back and you read how this indicator should be traded, it is specifically said that the explosion line should be pointing upward. And so that's what I've read time and time and time and time again. And so it's kind of counter to the way that it's been explained, that we should take anytime a histogram bar spikes up above the explosion line, because again, more often than not, they are pointing downward when that happens. And so the way I'm going to trade it, and it won't give as many signals, and I think that's why some people resort to the second way instead of the way it's explained. The way I'm going to trade it is at the point that the explosion line breaks out of the dead zone, we are going to make sure that the histogram bar is above the explosion line, and if it is red, we are going to go short. If it is green, we are going to go long. And that is how we are going to continue to trade it. Every time the explosion line breaks out of the dead zone, that will be our signal to then enter the trade. I, again, almost never see the explosion line still pointing upwards when a drop of the histogram and a spike back above it. And so it to my knowledge rarely happens, and so we're not really going to be paying attention for that. We're looking for, first and foremost, the explosion line to break out above the dead zone. So all right, that's a whole bunch of explaining, and I'm sorry that's taken so much time just to explain what we are doing with this indicator. But again, it's a rather intricate indicator with lots of things happening. And so to understand how we're going to trade it, or how you should be trading it, or the different ways you could trade it, things needed to be explained in detail. So now, with all that being explained, let's get on with the testing process and see what we get out of this indicator. All right, so we're moving along here. There we go. We got our first break up out of the dead zone. Looks like it, let me see here. Looks like it takes place on this one. Let's see, where is the dead zone? Let's see. 35, 40 is what this. Sorry, I'm trying to determine where our, doesn't say exactly where it is. I believe it is 34 is where, and so let's see. Yeah, so right here is when the breakout above the explosion zone takes place, and it's on this candle right here. Drops down almost immediately after, and unfortunately barely stopped us out. Super close, but barely stops us out. Alright, so now we're moving back along here. Explosion line is below, and looks like it may have broken out there. Nope, not quite. It was super close. All right, there's a breakout right there. So on this candle here, we get the breakout. And we get to first take profit. Good, good. So that was our first winning trade there. All right, so the next one here, and so this is kind of a an interesting situation here. So when we get the breakout of the explosion line, it actually happens where the histogram here was not above the explosion line. So that would not have been a valid signal to go short. So we're going to ignore that one. We did pick up a buy here on this one. Let's play it forward a little here. And we did get to take profit on that one. There we go. It's plugging along here. Drop down below. And we picked up another long right here on this one. Unfortunately, that one would have stopped us out. It's going, it's going. And so one thing that I do notice is that it seems like we are able to get an idea of when the overall trend push is starting to weaken. And so that might be something that would be beneficial for reading price action. And so you can see here that we had a really strong push to the upside here. And then you see that the green histogram bars start to drop out and turn to red. And you can see that the explosion line starts to slope down. And so that's something that could be beneficial in reading when it comes to price action. So that's something we could keep in mind as well. All right, let's see. So it looks like we get a breakout to the upside here. Looks like we barely squeeze out a win. Drops down and then it throws a short signal here. Let's see what it does. See short there. And it barely misses getting take profits. Now drops down. Giving another short signal here. And again, it barely misses our take profit. Just get so close sometimes. Getting pretty close to the end of the year now. Let's take a look at this one a little closer. Nope, I don't think it... It did not drop down below. I was just looking there. It looked like maybe it dropped down below before going up, but it did not. And that is the end of the year right there. So let's see here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We have 7 trades altogether, and we have 3 wins altogether, which is not going to meet 60% criteria. Now, I know that, again, this indicator is a favorite of many people, and it's not that I think it's a horrible indicator, but I think what we'll do is in the next video, I think we'll go ahead and test it the second way, because even though it's been explained that it should be traded this way in almost single thing that I've read, every example of trading it shows it traded in the second style that I gave the example of. And so it's worth a shot, giving it a try, just to see. If that's the way the majority of the people trade it, then, let's give it a try and see what we can get out of it. So for now, it is a no, gonna go on the no list, and then the next video, we'll put the second strategy to the test, see what we can get out of that one.
If you have not already, like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notification so that way you are notified anytime I post a new video. As part of the team, it's important that you are seeing the new videos as they come out so you know what it is that we are discussing and what indicators we are testing, have tested, and have not tested. Also, like usual, there is a link below in the description to the Discord server. You can join us on Discord so that way we can further discuss the indicators and have discussions as we move forward building our trading system. And lastly, like usual, there is a link below to TradingView. If you like what you see whenever I use TradingView, and you are interested in signing up for TradingView, if you use the link below and sign up for a paid account, you will save a little bit of money. So, alright everybody, I will see you